Yeah, clap it up. We in the building. We're in the building once again. This is the Israelite School of UPK, started on 1 West on the 25th Street, Harlem, New York. We are under Commanding General Hana. We've been teaching this truth since 1969. That the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are in fact the true biblical Jews of the Bible, and that our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. You understand? This is the 1 West News Desk. I'm your host, Captain Sapari. You understand? Of course, every Monday night, bringing out the news, local, national, and international news to your timeline, to your feed. You understand? To your For You page or what have you. Because I know it's riddled with a lot of propaganda and madness or what have you. But we're going to bring out a lot of things that's going on the earth that you may have come across your feed, you may have overlooked or skimmed through. But a lot of things that's happening in the world, in the earth, is really for our liberation. A lot of people are worried. A lot of people are scared, which is understandable with the international turmoil, the national tensions here in the Americas or what have you. Is understandable why one might be a bit concerned for what the future may or may not hold. But understand and recognize this, though. Everything that's happening is for the black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man's liberation. What's happening here is some call it the beginning of the end, but we certainly in that third woe. We certainly in that third woe that the Bible talks about as far as World War III. We right there, we right on it. And it's time for everybody to wake up. You understand? I'm gonna take that down. I'm gonna be speaking on that in a moment. A lot of the news, of course, y'all seen the moon landing. Well, not the moon landing, but the moon mission, I should say. Tensions rising, continue to rise and expand in the Middle East with Iran, Israelis, United Forces, Lebanon, and surrounding countries. That's continuing to escalate, and the world is impacted, by that strait being cut off or what have you right now. So everybody's being affected by that. And then you also had simultaneously China and Taiwan tensions and other international calamities are currently at bay. Before we get into that, man, Houston, Texas was amazing. They hosted this year's Passover under Commander General Hana. The 57th annual Passover was a glorious event. Glorious, absolutely outstanding job by the school. hosting the Lord's 57th annual Passover down there in Houston. It was amazing. I seen on Facebook not too long ago. They said the lion was a real tenderism. And it sure was delicious. The recipe was on the spot. Had the unleavened bread. All the festivities, was going live and legit. What I'm saying? Y'all go check out the feed for for videos and photos of the event or what have you. But it's plenty online, scriptural breakdown and everything like that. But without further ado, let's get in some of these international headlines. Big one here. I know a lot of you so-called conspiracy theorist type cats is, probably a little bugged out about the recent news of the Artemis going up into space towards and around the moon in order to capture images and other data from the so-called dark side of the moon. I know a lot of flat earthers ain't really too, or conspiracy theorists ain't really too big on hearing or seeing any news about that. Shalom Gabar, see you in the building. Shalom Yabashim Yashar Gutha. Still in Texas, most on Christ. But we can get into this article here, get a little bit on the Artemis. Got the New York Post. Let me get this. The Artemis. You know what I'm saying? They already done beat the record I seen as furthest distance, into space, by humans. Let's see what the New York Post posts here. Artemis 2 flies by moon in first historic look at the lunar dark side. Artemis 2 began its historic flyby of the moon Monday in what is the mission's showstopper event, giving its crew Earthlings back home their first glimpses ever of parts of the lunar dark side. Excuse me. The capsule began to fly by around 2:45 p.m. Eastern ET and will spend just over 6 hours arcing around the moon with its windows pointed toward the far side of the lunar surface. All four crew members will become the first people in history to see certain swaths of the far side, since most remained in shadow when the Apollo missions orbited the moon over 50 years ago. It's been 50 years, man. So absolutely an historic event that's happening right now. I know a lot of conspiracy theorists nuts is, bugged out about it, but so be it. The Apollo flights were also so close to the surface that their range of sight was limited. But Artemis 2's flyby is different. The capsule will stay between 4,000 and 6,000 miles from the lunar surface, which will allow the crew to see the entirety of the far side under the full light of the sun. The moon will appear about the size of a basketball, held at arm's length to the crew looking out the Orion capsule windows. It will also, It will also about 3 to 4 times larger than Earth. As the flyby began, the crew reported. Artemis 2 astronauts will spend the flyby photographing and making in-person observations of the far side as part of their research. They will also be contact with Earth about halfway through the. They will also lose contact. They're gonna lose contact when they get to the other side. I think they already lost contact. I think they enrolled back already. We'll get a live update though. They will also lose contact with the Earth about halfway through the flyby around 6:44 p.m. ET, when the moon itself blocks communication signals between the capsule and Earth. Communication should be reestablished around 7:25 minutes after Artemis makes its closest pass. I gotta open this article back up. Bad with me. To the lunar surface at about 4,000 miles in altitude. The crew has already set the record for the furthest distance traveled from Earth around 2 p.m. ET when they flew further than Apollo 13's 248,655 mile record, which has stood unbroken since 1970. Artemis 2 will continue breaking that record, reaching about 252,757 miles from Earth by the time they are through. The flyby will end around 9:20 p.m. and the crew will be on their way home to Earth from then on. But they won't need to fire their thrusters to go back, as the capsule will have used the moon's gravity to slingshot it back to Earth. It will be by a 4-day journey home, with the capsule expected to splash down in the Pacific Ocean around 8:07 p.m. ET on Friday. And if it all goes well, astronauts will go back up for an Earth orbiting mission into 2027 under Artemis 3, and then the walk on the moon in 2028 for Artemis 5. This is what they do. They said what the scriptures say. They said they nest amongst the stars. You understand? They got the International Space Station. They got they skyscrapers all the way up, and as high as they can go on the Earth. This is their nature or what have you. But the Artemis 2 up there in the space, you understand? Meanwhile, we dying and starving in the ghettos of America, and they can't get it right on Earth, but they can't wait to try to, extort space. You understand? What's the brother name? They had that song Whitey's on the Moon. Damn, Gil Scott Heron, famous musician. He had a song called Whitey's on the Moon or what have you. But ain't nothing new since the 70s to now. They always looking for something to distort and to devour and to pollute. You know what I'm saying? I seen a video earlier. Some white man talk about mining on the moon. Why in the hell do you want to disrupt anything the moon got going on when the Earth depends on that, for the tides and everything in the ocean or what have you? You want to disrupt everything and ruin it and pollute it. Just a cancer, not only to the Earth. Now you want to be an international. Now you want to be a interstellar cancer to the galaxy. You can't wait to get your hands on any material to exploit it. You understand? The oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's what we really got to recognize and understand. But that's the whole reason for their space race. They're racing towards money and devouring something and extorting. Well, that's one side of the coin. Also, on another side of the coin, they think they can beat Christ. But let's get some more on this though. No, you so-called flat earthers. heads are exploding out there, or you so-called y'all so-called you conspiracy theorists nuts. You know what I'm saying? Don't know what to think or what to feel about, you know, astrophysics or astronauts or NASA or science in general, really, to be honest with you. Let's get some news on China. China, Taiwan, all this international. Now let's move on to the international turmoil here. Let's get some. Let me find this link. You share it. China and Taiwan back in the news. This is recent too. This is on reported by Japan. The Japan Times, by the way, over there. As China rehearses a blockade, Taiwan's Coast Guard prepares to push back. Now you got Ukraine, Russia. You had the Gaza Strip get demolished by the Israelis. Now they pushing into Lebanon and other regions in the Middle East. Iran is fighting back. U.S. is involved. Now we told you China and Taiwan was going to get down. Now it's looking very, very likely as China steps up its Coast Guard presence and military exercises around Taiwan, just like the United States did. The United States did the same thing. And we got another region looking like some conflict here. With a stated goal of being able to blockade it, the self-ruled island Coast Guard isn't just standing idling by. Excuse me. Determined to counter any attempt to cut off the island from the outside world, the law enforcement agency is gradually boosting its capabilities, training closely with Taiwan's military, and ramping up corporations with its U.S., Japanese, and Philippine counterparts. We need to be fully aware of Beijing's capability to stage a full blockade, as there is no question they are practicing to and Crystal, Taiwan. Sung Ching-en, Deputy Minister of Taiwan Ocean Affairs Council, the island's top government body of maritime security and goddamn, that's a longest and governance, told the Japan Times during a recent exclusive interview in Taipei. Just like America got that embargo around Cuba and blocking particular ships and merchants into Cuba, China is also a bully. Let's get some more. Now, if y'all out there saying that like this is even, now look what the U.S. is doing. You understand? They all play the same game. They're like international. You got to look at these nations like gangsters. We look at them like we've been well, I should say this. We've been taught to look at these nations as diplomatic and upstanding and have some type of actual morals or what have you, but they're all just a bunch of gangsters. All of them. They're all just a bunch of gangsters, just with big titles. And see if I can get some of these. They're just a bunch of big international thugs. That's all it is. That's all they really are. You understand? But we looking at them as, they're trying to make deals and better their communities or what have you. They're just gangsters. We just a part of the game. We just part of the game. We just political pawns and their system or what have you. Let's get some more here. We need to be fully aware of Beijing's capability to stage a full blockade, as there is no question they are practicing. I just read that. Yeah, I just read that. The Chinese Coast Guard and military, are rehearsing the use of force to prevent ships from entering our ports. But our job is to prevent that from happening, he said. We will ensure that this never occurs and will convey the message to the Taiwanese people. Last December, Chinese conducted its seventh large-scale military exercise around Taiwan since August 2022, and the first one exhibitly focused on blockading the island and deferring aid from Taipei's partners. Chinese forces have been enhancing their ability to rapidly surround and seize control of the air and sea around Taiwan, with the China Coast Guard, the world's largest, operating alongside Chinese warships, and highlighted in the December exercise that included 13 armed CCG vessels. A Chinese enrichment encirclement of Taiwan is likely to be different from blockades in the past for a number of reasons, including the geopolitical context, advanced in military technology, and especially the island's geographically proximity to the mainland. Democratic Taiwan and tech powerhouse sees itself as de facto independent country, but China, which claims it as its own territory, will likely portray any such increment as a law enforcement operation instead of a blockade. Kind of similar to this is damn near propaganda. It's kind of similar to Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine was belonged to Russia. It was their sovereignty. It was their territory. And then the United States instigated for several decades, along with NATO, and instigated this war with Russia and Ukraine. Now here you have China and Taiwan. They want to be meddling with, other people that's against China. Meanwhile, China has dominion over Taiwan. Is that propaganda? Somebody say that's propaganda, but that's just facts. You understand? We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that plays out or what have you, but we got to look at the facts. These other nations have been dealing, these nations be undercutting each other and deal nasty with each other because they're thugs. How can we expect a nation of people? You know what I'm saying? Hey, shalom alazar, see shalom yabashim yashak with the. How can we expect these people, to have any type of morals when they're not governed by morality? They're not governed by morality. They're governed by greed. They're pushed in and governed by greed and lust and power, and that's what they're driven by. You understand? That's what we got to come around and understand for real. But don't China got a right to and don't China and Russia got a right to defend what belongs to them? They're gonna think we some type of communist in here. But listen, we just talking the same gang the Israelis is talking. Israelis think they got dominion over everything in the Middle East, don't they? Everybody's doing the same thing because all of these heathens is a bunch of gangsters, man. They're a bunch of gangsters. Can't you see? They have no choice. They have no choice but to be violent. They have no choice but to go to war. They have no choice but to exert their so-called dominance on what some may call a lesser nation or a smaller nation. It's in their nature. It's in their core way of life. They've always done this all throughout history. All these heathen nations been fighting in their bloodshed and their lust and their greed. They've always been driven by this, but we've been blinded by propaganda. Like these people have some type of morality. Like this, I think it's Stars or HBO. I think it's Stars, but they had this documentary on Bumpy Johnson and other heavy drug dealers of the 60s and the 70s or what have you. Showed them in a different light, like they had some type of morality or some type of. Gangsters don't have morality. You know, they cause death and destruction. That's what these world leaders do. They cause death and destruction. And all their people and everybody under them is just political pawns or a pawn in their game. You know, and they sit up there pretending they care for the people, pretending they care and want to make change in this utopia they've been talking about for thousands of years of a world of world peace. And you know, even Donald Trump himself, the most racist person on the earth, going to have a board of peace. First of all, you are a rapist and a racist, unaliver, and you're going to come up with a board, with an oxymoron, and you're going to come up with a board of peace. You don't know peace. All they know is death. All they know is destruction. Shalom, Yabashing Shabbat, see Koran Palak. All they see is destruction. Shalom, Yabashing Shabbat, Officer Corella, come. I see you in the chat. All they know is death and destruction. So how can we? Why do we continue to pretend like these people are capable of being just? We pretend like these people are not a cancer, are not the problem. And we just continue to be fooled time and time again. Continue to be fooled. Let me add this to the stage real quick. Let me see if I can get this here going. Y'all bear with me 1 second. Y'all drop a fire emoji in the chat for me, man. Make sure y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe. You understand? Let me get some more of this article here. Democratic Taiwan and tech powerhouse sees. I just read that. My bad. The Taiwan Strait is a major artery for global commerce, and the island strategic location linking the East and South China Seas makes it a crucial defense linchpin for the U.S. and its allies. So, like this is going to continue to fuel this world calamity. You understand? Why? I might be looking at the screen like, why the smirk? Because this is what's needed in the earth. We need a hard reset on the earth. And that's only going to come about through war. And all these things that's adding up is World War III. And this here war with Iran is just the tip of the iceberg. And here we got another strait that's going to impact the earth in a catastrophic way. and it's looking like it's going to happen. This means that such action could have potentially severe economic consequences and trigger an international response. Yeah, we like cats in the world thing. We just making this up, and exactly what we said was going to happen is happening. In this article, we didn't write this article here. It says that this is going to have an international impact. It's going to touch this nation. It's going to touch this. It's going to touch all these nations here, right? It's important. It's important. All of this international turmoil is connected. And what we don't recognize and understand is this, right? We don't recognize and understand that everything that's happening, it may seem like it's far away and that's their problem and they war. Listen, there's going to be war here in the United States. It's going to be chaos all throughout the earth, and eventually, America is going to be a wasteland. America is going to be a lake of fire. Everything else that we've been prophesying, the prophets been bringing out, prophesying the war, the rumors of war, all of that, the natural catastrophes throughout the earth. Now we got another strait about to get closed up. Another international strait that's about to get closed up. Let's get a little bit more on this article. This is absolutely dynamic right here. This article here. I don't think we grasp how impactful this upcoming calamity is. An international response. How exactly a Taiwan blockade might unfold, in which assets China will use to enforce it will ultimately depend on Beijing political and strategic aims, regardless. And how do you pronounce this? And encirclement of the democratic island wouldn't necessarily be a low risk, low cost option for China, especially if it resorted to using warships, a move that experts say could prompt a rapid and difficult to contain escalation, much like Iran. For instance, Sung noted that in the event of a Chinese blockade, commercial vessels from other nations might request escorts from the respective coast guards when nearing Taiwan's ports. In such a case, if Chinese forces still interfered, the country's natives could then become involved. I mean, come on, here we go. What this is looking like. It sounds just like the Strait of Hormuz, just in a different region, right? Pulling anybody that any nation that heavily deals out of that port, out of that strait, is going to be pulled into conflict. Now we got two major ports. Now what's going to be the port after that? It's just going to be port after port, nation after nation being drug into a fight. And there's no turning back from this, because the Lord is drawing all of these nations into the valley of Jehoshaphat. France is going to get involved. They're already talking what we talked about 2-3 weeks ago. France is going to get involved. They already stockpiling their nuclear arsenal. Other European nations are going to have to get involved in order to get their goods. You understand? They're going to be on somebody's side. And all these nations are going to be fighting over these straits, fighting over these goods, fighting over control, fighting over land, fighting over power, fighting over control. These people talk a good game about, they use words like diplomatic and democracy and freedom and liberation. They use all these terms. Meanwhile, they're a bunch of thugs that have no morality and have no moral compass. Their end game is always bloodshed, all throughout history, in every age, every time. Their age in society always leads to war. But what we have to recognize and understand is this: that this upcoming world war is the last one. Ain't no more wars after this one, you understand? I'll get a little bit more. The essential question at this point will be whether to escalate or not. Sung said, we are planning thoroughly and preparing for every scenario. But China increasingly complex military maneuvers and gray zone operations, collaborated action that fall below the threshold of armed conflict are not just about training. They're also a form of psychological warfare. And that gray area has been expanding. That gray area, or that what do they call damn, what's the terminology? International waters, meaning that gray area that has been expanding and pushed back onto Taiwan's coast. The main strategic goal behind these maneuvers is to intimidate the Taiwanese people and break their will to resist without resorting to direct large-scale kinetic force, according to some. The Chinese are using psychological warfare to convey the message that the People Liberation Army can and circle Taiwan and starve out the Taiwanese people at any moment. He added nothing that the aim is to make the Taiwanese lose their faith in their Coast Guard and the military. Psychological warfare, propaganda, whatever you want to call it, it's going down. It's no, you know, ain't no point of unholstering your weapon if you're not going to use it. You unholster that weapon, you plan on using that weapon. That's what America's done. That's what China's going to do. That's what the Ukrainians and Russians have done. You know, and this war in the Middle East is going to continue to expand. The war against China and Taiwan is going to happen. There's no negotiating or bringing in a third party to talk with China, talk with Taiwan's allies. These people are a bunch of thugs. The way they deal with each other is grimy and low. You understand? America, as far as the Israelis, make sure these other nations stay doped up on that poppy seed and all this. Everything that's happening in the earth is like it's coming into a boiling point. America, the Israelis, Iran, China, Japan, all these powerhouses, North Korea, everybody's like at the end of their rope with it. And is about to be scratching and clawing for survival amongst each other. And they're gonna just fight each other. And you might ask yourself, why is that? Is there something we can do? Is there some type of talk that we can have? Is there some type of board of peace or united? No, it's not. The Lord is causing these nations and the heads of these nations to do this to each other. He made them that way. I thought Donald Trump was going to be prolong things a bit because his relations with North Korea and Russia. But then he didn't turn around and made enemies with his allies. furthering the destruction of the, furthering this this unstoppable prophecy of the end. It's unstoppable. It's unwavering um wrath coming from the Lord. You understand? You're absolutely right, Quran. Death and destruction of their own people. All this technology, all this so-called wisdom they have, and you want to destroy your damn self. Well, that's just China and Taiwan now. I'm gonna drop this article here. Now let's get into what Donald Trump recently posted. Donald Trump. He's always the headline with Donald Trump, right? Why is that? Because of his arrogance, his boastfulness. And what we said, the Lord made him that way. The Lord made him arrogant, hard hearted, you know what I mean? All them things like that you did. You understand why is that? Because this is about to bring out the end. Let's get this. Let's see if I can share this screen. Here we go. Think y'all can make sure y'all see that. Trump says, I think he posted this on his Truth Social. Trump says Iran could be taken out on Tuesday. Hexaf says major strikes to come. Washington, April 6th, Reuters. United States President Donald Trump said on Monday he will order sweeping attacks on Iranian civilian power plants and bridges on Tuesday night unless Tehran makes a deal aimed at ending the 5-week war with Iran. Trump's vow at a White House press conference came ahead of the 8 p.m. EDT deadline on Tuesday, GMT Wednesday, at a set for Iran to comply with U.S. conditions. Damn near ultimatum here. Trump is demanding Iran forswear nuclear weapons and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a critical oil transit waterway. He said the entire country can be taken out in one night, and that the night might be tomorrow night. I hope I don't have to do it, Trump said. He said the U.S. has a plan where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by midnight. EDT 0400 GMT Wednesday, and where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. And quotes, I mean, complete destruction by 12 o'clock, and it'll happen over a period of 4 hours. It will, if we wanted it to. We don't want that to happen, he said. Critics have said Trump would be committing war crimes if the U.S. attacked civilian power plants. A point Trump dismissed on Monday. I'm not worried about it. You know what's a war crime? Having a nuclear weapon, Trump said early on Monday during an Easter egg event for children on the White House South Lawn. The oppressor is how deceptive. Nobody on the earth can have a nuclear weapon, but only you can. Who the hell made you the boss in the entire earth? You understand? You don't know. He don't even know what a war crime is. They already committed several war crimes, blowing up that girls' school. First of all, I'm talking about war crimes. Look at who you alongside the Israelis. All right. Pentagon. Okay, Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth told the press conference that the heaviest strike since the start of the Iran conflict would take place on Monday, and warned that Tuesday would have even more. Speaking to reporters earlier at the Easter event, Trump said a proposal offered by Iran was inadequate. They made a proposal, and it's a significant proposal. It's a significant step. It's not good enough, Trump said. He said the war could end quickly if Iran does what they have to do. They have to do certain things that they know that they've been negotiating. I think in good faith, he said. Man, this goddamn devil, he don't want to end the war. Everything they doing is what they've been wanting to do. Trump said without providing evidence that the U.S. has numerous intercepts from Iran civilians, urging it not to let up and trying to dislodge the Iranian government from power. They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom, Trump said. Now that's a bunch of propaganda also. Yeah, man. There you go. That's a direct threat from the United States president on his, on his own social media post, as far as committing a war crime against civilians. Against civilians at that. And it's just taken lightly. Why? Why is it taken lightly? Who knows? Who knows? But these devils know what they can and cannot do. They say what they want to say. They do what they want to do. They want to kidnap a president. They kidnap a head of state. You understand? They want to level an entire people, the Palestinians. They just do it. They just do it. Just like they've always done. They are a complete cancer to the earth. A complete cancer to the earth. Nothing but destruction and pollution comes from these people, man. That's what we gotta recognize and understand. Don't pledge your allegiance with America. Don't stand for the Israelis. Don't stand for any nation. What you do, black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man and woman, is you make the decision to serve the Lord. And here in the Israelite School of UPK, we're going to teach you just how to do that. You understand? You get in these classes, you get in these counseling sessions, you get all the help you need right here in the Israelite School of UPK. And we start together. You can't get, the scriptures say gather yourselves together. You can't gather yourself together. You think you can gather yourself together? You got to gather ourselves together, and it's looking like we gonna have nothing but each other. You understand? In a minute, brotherhood is already mandatory, but and the second brotherhood is going to be it's already necessary. But you're going to understand how necessary it's going to be. Gas prices, shortages. We're going to need each other, and the times that's coming, and the time is now. To be honest with you, it ain't going to be all of that. It ain't going to be none of that. Isolating yourself and or what have you. You're going to need each other. You're going to have to fall on each other. You understand? That's what time it is. You did. So come up in this school. Stop being a goddamn coward and gather yourselves together in righteousness here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander Yohana. You understand? This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West on 25th Street, Harlem, New York. We are under command and Johanna. We've been teaching this truth since 1969 that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are in fact the true biblical Jews of the Bible, and that our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. This is the One West News Desk every Monday, 6 until, bringing you local, national, and international news to your timeline. You understand? I'm your host, Captain Saparia, and we'll catch you next time live here at the UPK One West News Desk. Shalom.
The ISUPK presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.